ever heard of goat? No, I'm not talking about goat. I'm talking about goat. Both of the pronunciations are different. One is goat and another one is goat. In case you don't heard of it, let me tell you, goat is one of the most rare and bizarre ghostly figures of Bengali folklore. As much as I know, most of you probably haven't heard of it. And today I'm going to discuss about this bizarre and rare ghostly figure. Trust me, this figure is pretty eerie, horrifying, and scary. And the concept of this figure is pretty much interesting as well. I find it really impressive. So let me explain what actually is Bhoot. Bhoot is mainly a phantom camel or a ghostly camel that carries a human skull on its back. The camel itself is a ghostly camel and its appearance includes this skull on its back. It can be one skull or it can be several skulls. Sometimes it carries the Skandakara ghosts, you know, the headless ghosts who are much famous in Bengali folklore. So firstly, let's talk about its name and origin. So its name Bhoot, it is actually originated from the word Ut and the word Bhoot. When you mix both of these two produce the word Bhoot, and it actually means a phantom camel. Now let's talk about its origins. It is assumed that this phantom camel was originated from the riverine and the river island areas of Bangladesh. Where camels were uncommon, but occasionally seen with traders, giving them a strange, otherworldly reputation. The human skull on its back symbolizes unrested souls, suggesting that the camel carries the spirits of the dead. Now let's move on to the description of this thing. Usually, this phantom camel or Bhoot appears at night in the lonely roads of the rural areas, sometimes near the riverbanks, and sometimes on the river. People say this camel is huge and it's black or usually ashen gray, and its eyes are usually red or yellow, and they glow in the dark. They glow so bright that you can even notice them from a very far distance. I've already mentioned it, but it is also said in the description that usually its back, on its back there's a human skull or the headless body of Skandakara ghosts. Now this one. This next one is pretty much horrifying and eerie because this one says that the skull on the camel's back can actually scream at the top of its lungs, and sometimes it can actually laugh in a very eerie way. You know, those ghostly laughs? So that's what the skull can do. Now let's talk about its behavior and traits. First of all, it blocks the path of the travelers, which actually scares the shit out of those travelers, and some of them try to flee away, and some of them become frozen in fear, and some actually approach the camel, but they have this fear growing inside of them while approaching the camel. But if you ask me if I will ever approach a phantom camel in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, I will say no. I will never ever do that. I'm not that stupid. Okay, the next one. The next one says the camel can let out a bone-chilling scream, and this scream is so intense that it can cause people to faint or to fall sick. That thing actually sounds pretty horrifying. In some tales, it is also said that this camel is actually a bad omen, which means it appears before disasters or destruction, natural calamities, death or sickness, etc., etc. Well, in some tales, it is said that the camel chases people, but it vanishes completely into thin air when it reaches near a village or a shrine or mosques or temples. Now let's talk about the regional variants of this phantom camel. Well, I got only one variant, and it says that the people of Jamuna River and the Padma River, the people of those river islands, they say that they see a Bhoot come out during the stormy nights and during the time of river floods. Now let's talk about the protection methods. Now let's suppose that you're all alone traveling at night and you just came face to face this Bhoot or the phantom camel. What are you going to do to protect yourself? So first of all, they say that you should carry iron stuffs, like knives, iron nails, iron tridents, etc., which was a very common practice in the ancient Bengal to keep people safe from the control or from the targets of spirits or the phantom camels. Okay, the next one is carrying sacred threads or charms, like amulets. However, me being a Muslim, I'm not a fan of the idea of amulets. However, it is also included that you can recite the verses of Ayatul Kursi if you come face to face to this camel. If you are a Hindu, it is said that you can actually carry the charms or the holy charms that your belief has to offer you. Okay, the next one. This thing actually scared the shit out of me when I was reading it, because this thing actually says that if you find yourself followed by a phantom camel or a Bhoot, you should never ever look back and make eye contact with that ghostly creature, because if you do so, if you just make eye contact with that camel is going to gain power and gain control over you, and it will just give this creature the easy access to harm you. So yeah, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, no matter how long this thing follows you, don't look back. Okay, the next one is you should stay near the village, the mosques, the temples or shrines. These places are usually crowded, or they are usually protected by religious powers. So staying near these things will actually protect you from the Bhoot or the phantom camel. Okay, the next one is traveling in groups in order to avoid the encounter of this camel. If you travel alone at night, then you may fall victim to the phantom camel. The phantom camel likes to target those travelers who travel alone at night. And now I'm going to read out some Bengali folklores about this phantom camel which I've just found on the internet. So let's get started. I'm going to read right from my laptop. So the first story, its name is The Ghost of the Padma Root, Bangladesh. The region is near Gualando, where the Padma and Jamuna rivers meet. So the story goes like this. Fishermen say on stormy monsoon nights, a phantom camel carrying a glowing human skull walks along the now submerged ferry routes. The skull screams before floods or boat accidents, so people believe its appearance warns of impending disaster. Old folks still claim that boatmen whisper prayers if they hear the camel's heavy footsteps on the sandbars at night. So, was that creepy enough? Well, honestly, I don't find that too much creepy, but yes, that story is creepy. Moving on to the next story. The next story's name is The Trader's Curse from Rajshahi, Bangladesh. So here's the story. In the 1800s, a salt trader's caravan was attacked by bandits. The trader was beheaded and his loyal camel also died that night. Villagers say the trader's spirit merged with his camel, creating the Hoot Hoot. People traveling near the old trade route claim to see a headless rider on a camel with a flaming skull on its back, silently watching travelers before vanishing into thin air. Well, I think this story actually kind of describes the story or context behind the phantom camel or Hoot Hoot. Moving on to the next story. The next story's name is The Phantom Camel of the River Islands. The region is River Islands of Jonah River. So here's the story. Shepherds talk about a giant black camel with chains clanking and a human skull tied to its hump. It appears on full moon nights, walks in circle 3 times, then disappears into the river water. Folklore says anyone following its trail ends up lost for hours, even in familiar areas. Like the camel, it's time and space. So you can say that this story kind of says that this camel actually tricks the mind of people. Now moving on to the next story. The next story's name is The Screaming Skull Rider, and it's from West Bengal. So the story goes like this. In some Hubli district villages, people tell of a camel with a skull that shrieks when it sees humans. Once a man tried to shoot it with an old musket. The bullet passed through as if the camel were made of smoke, and the man went blind within days. Villagers say the shrieking skull curses anyone who tries to harm it. So be careful when you see this screaming skull rider, because you may not want to harm it, because if you want to harm it, you may end up being cursed. Here's the next tale, and the next tale its name is The Riverbank Ride Tale. This one, I think this one is my most favorite one among all these folklores. So the story goes like this. A strange variant says the phantom camel sometimes carries a headless bride in red, not just a skull. Seen near cremation grounds, the camel walks into the river at dawn with the bride still sitting upright on its back. Locals say it is a woman who died before reaching her wedding, cursed to roam with the camel until her soul finds peace. This one actually impressed me the most. I found a bit dark feminine energy here, so yeah, I like this one a lot. So that was all the folklore stories I found on the internet about the phantom camel or Hoot Hoot. Honestly, I found the concept of this Hoot Hoot really amusing and impressive, because it is pretty much different and unique than the other folklore ghosts of Bengal. It is pretty different, and not only that, I also find it very eerie and much more scarier than the other ghostly figures of Bengali folklore. So yeah, if you guys find it interesting, let me know as well. And I also want to know if you guys want me to make more of this type of ghostly content or paranormal stuffs in my future videos. So that was all for today. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.